Hi, I'm Niveditha.indrajit, and I'm in conversation with Hiren Gogoi, and who's also known as Gogo by his friends. So tell me about your name.
That's
I
an
didn't know the
interesting one
Chandra
to.
part or the Gogo part. So
That's the interesting question to begin with, Nivedita, and thanks for having me, with you today. I hope to sound something sensible at least. Anyways, coming back to my question, my name is Hiren Chandra Gogoi. Chandra is like the middle name, so my father also uses it. So in his middle name, so probably that has been like the tradition to father to son like that. Probably my
okay.
next generation will also have it. I don't know. I have not decided yet. but the other part, the Gogoi, yeah. So the surname is Gogoi. There used to be one kind of villain character in the movie called Andaz Apna, and it is on a negative role. It's a very popular character called Crime Master Bogu. So this guy, this role played by Shakti Kapoor, basically. So funny character yet villain, but very memorable and interesting character. So I think when I got into college and my friend circle found my name to be too lengthy, I believe, and the first name being Hiren, some people find it even difficult to pronounce. Is it Hiren or Hiran or something like that? At times, people used to call me Hiran only. My teachers, Hiran means a deer in Hindi.
Yeah.
So I think the only option left for them was the last part, Gogo. So just to play with it, they removed the I and made it Go. So that's how it became Gogo. And I think the name quite well spread among my friend circle, like coronavirus. and and that's how I became Gogo. And after that, that has been like my most what do you call popular pet name, probably I should call it.
So where were you born, and can you tell me like how were your growing up years? Like, do you have any siblings?
Yes. So I was born in a place called Khowang in Dibrugarh district of Assam. But you can see a picture in the background.
Yeah.
That's a picture from Assam right now at this moment.
Yeah.
Assam is being flooded, but
Yes.
I don't know if many people will know about it right now.
Yes, I
That's
do.
the reason I'm just putting it out there. That there are
Hmm.
people out there still like suffering through going through a kind of biggest disaster, natural disaster, you can say. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, coming back to your question, I was born there in a government hospital, and soon after I was born, my mom and dad they shifted to a new place. It's a little better than the village, a small town called Big Boy. So Big Boy is basically famous for oil industry. So it is
Okay.
where the first uh, oil refinery in Asia was created.
Okay.
So the Britishers were ruling at that time, and they noticed hints of oils in the feet of the elephants. So when they found it, they could see a possibility of a good oil industry. So they bring in people, and they were like, you big boy, hey boy, you dig, big boy, big boy. So like that, the name Big Boy came into picture. So after
Yeah.
that, like that, by the same time, that was like about 100 years difference, maybe 1889, the first oil was found, and 1989, I was born. So I think in around 1990 or 1991, my mom and dad, they moved to Big Boy Oil Town because my father got a job there. And ever since my bread and butter and whatever my education was all up to I think 15 or 16 years, it was in Big Boy only.
Okay.
So childhood was pretty good, I will say, because of my father's job, I got to live in like different places, like in and around Assam only.
Okay.
And interesting childhood, I can say, because at times I was growing up with people where my neighborhood was like full of Assamese people, and at times I was living in a house where it was full of Bengali people. At times I was living with people where my other neighbors were from the Muslim community. Other times it was with Punjabi communities. So that way I had the benefit of growing up with so many people around. I mean, my
Different
childhood,
cultures.
different culture actually. Yes, like I have friends, Manipuri friends, Nepali friends, Assamese, Bengali, Punjabi. So even the Muslim friends are there. So like I had a pretty good deal of a time that time, being a child, because I had a very vibrant what do you call friends circle that time. And
I was actually going to ask you like the Bengali part because you have certain Bengali accent when you're telling Chandra.
absolutely, because if you look at it, the Assamese, Bengali, and the Odia, these three languages, like on the pronunciation part at least, and on the other side, the scriptures, like
Yeah.
whatever the alphabets or letters, you'll find a lot of similarities there. So
Okay.
that might be the reason. I mean, like probably at times people even doubt me if I'm a Bengali. Then I have to clarify this is not the case. I mean, though I speak Bengali, and but I am an Assamese. So,
Okay. So how many languages do you speak?
well, I can speak English, Hindi, Assamese, Bengali, bit of Nepali, and I
Oh,
learned
wow.
French. So probably that's six to the count.
Yeah.
Yes. Here I'm currently at present I'm in Hyderabad, so Telugu I'm finding it a little bit difficult, but I could understand the gist of what people are saying. At least by this time, it's been around
Okay.
7 years now. Yeah.
So do you have any siblings and or are you a
Yes.
single child?
No, I have two sisters. Again,
Okay.
with whom I had a pretty interesting childhood because I used to fight a lot with them.
So
that's how
so
that's how I
are they
remember.
older than you or younger than you?
They are younger to me, and very frankly to say, I mean, as much as I love them right now, I mean, probably at that time also, but I used to be more of a angry kind of guy, and I used to be always in fight with them for silly matters. and
Okay.
whenever I, let's say, for something, let's say I have hurt them or scolded them, they will cry and my mom or dad will come and scold me. So being the elder in the eldest child in the family, because you tend to get all the rebuke there, right? So
Yeah, I know. Like generally with the first child, what happens is they think parents come somehow bring the first child into their category and expect the child to be an
okay,
adult with the younger ones, but
yeah.
it doesn't really work that way.
So a lot of fighting I could remember, but these days because of the geographical distance, I don't get to spend much time around them. But
Yeah.
yeah, whenever possible, we connect over a Skype or a Zoom or a WhatsApp video call. And whenever I go to home, I spend around 15-20 days of solid time with them. So yeah.
Before we go to your education and how you grew up, I would like you to talk about what you'd like to say about Assam currently and if there is a message you'd like
Yes, yes,
to
yes.
convey here.
That will be an interesting space to talk about. Coming back to my childhood, like I said, my family moved to Digboy once after I was born. And after that, interestingly, 1989 was the year I was born, and 1987 was the year the school where I got admitted later was established. So I think we were maybe of the same age, my school at this moment, and I myself, maybe around 2 years difference. So Sishu Niketan Digboy was the school where I got admitted. I hated school as a kid. I don't want to go there and all that. I mean, I have a faint memories of my school days being as a child that going there, I was crying and all. But luckily, I had another friend from the same neighborhood who was also admitted in the same school. So our parents will both take us there and drop us there. And interestingly, the principal used to come and convince us, don't cry and all that. They used to give us trophies and all. So those were like our little rewards for
It's good
not
to cry
crying.
every day, you get more toffees.
Yes, 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 yes. So I think once after I got into maybe class one or maybe first standard or second standard, I mean, I have had a good circle of friends by that time. So I think I
Okay.
was used to it, apart from the homework part,
Yeah.
which I didn't like. So at least up till class 10, I studied there, and pretty amazing teachers. I had the benefit of found them in the classroom.
Mm.
Still today, we are in touch. At least to some of them. Some of them have passed away, unfortunately. But whoever is left there, during this pandemic time only, because everyone is locked down at home, we were just trying to connect with each other and trying to build up that community once again. So,
Okay.
so that's up till class 10. I was more of a science guy that time because I hated history, I hated poetry, I hated anything to do with literature, anything to do with physics, chemistry, maths, or computers, especially. I was very fond of. And most of the time you'll find me. I mean, I think after class 8 or 9, I was a most frequent visitor in the library, school library. We had a small library there, and the librarian ma'am also used to encourage us, and to read more books and all that. So that was like a good experience, being familiar with the books outside of your academic curriculum.
Yeah.
So I think that habit has later really helped me. I mean, once after I crossed class 10, I came into class 11, 12 right after passing class 10. But it was again in a different place rather than from my own hometown. So I have to be basically be in a hostel because at home you have all the luxury. You can demand food, you can fight or do all that kind of thing. But class 11 was the time I was first exposed to a hostel life. And the hostel I was being introduced or put into, that was again the what do you call it, was having the us as the first batch of
Okay.
boarders. So they were also not familiar with many things, how to do studies, and so many kind of administrative what do you call mess ups were there. But we got used to it because initial few days were a little bit tough. I had a lot of stomach diseases, and I could not attend my 11, 12 classes for a few weeks. And to adjust to the food, water, or like
Even
well,
homesickness, right? I mean, you
yes, yes. That would be the right term to put in short term.
see, they
So
say like that age, right? 10th, 11th, 12th is a very formative age.
yes.
At the same time, a big change happened where you lived away from your family. And how did that impact you as a person?
That has really changed me, because the person I was before class 10 and the person I became after class 10 was a totally different picture. Because I was the kind of guy who have never washed his own t-shirt or a pant anytime, because and or let's say I never used to eat, let's say, vegetable A, B, C, D, E, and in the hostels you have to do, or you have to eat many things that you don't like. So that was the, I think, the first introduction to life chapter for me. and you know what friendship is there, because you make good friends, and you make friends which can later maybe uh, put you into troubles also. So you got an understanding of what do you call, a basic understanding of how a human nature can be. So those were, I think, the pretty memorable incidents from my 11, 12 days. Well, I had a crush on a girl by that same time, so and it did not work out well. So that ultimately made me a poet, I will say. I mean, so I started writing poems and all that, just to deal with my what do you call a failed love life, you can say, at a very preliminary stage. And after that, right after, I think, I once I attained a bit of maturity, I will say, I decided, this cannot go like that. I definitely need to go out and see the world in better light and better perspective. And so right after class 11 and 12, I was interested in going to Indian Air Force, but by the time I was in class 11 and 12, I got introduced to computer in a more in a different way, like in a more serious way, I would say. I was always good with computers. I mean, as a kid, I think
Okay.
I think I started writing code by the time I was 6 years old, maybe. So since 6 years old, I mean, that time I was writing code to do programs, a small one.
Okay.
Then, sorry.
No, I said okay.
Yeah. So I was pretty good with computers. By the time I was in class 10, people were coming to my home if they're having any kind of computing problems. So I will go there and fix it. So I was like the little technician for the computing problems. So and by the same time, we were introduced to computer science in the standard of class 6, and I think nearly by the same time, my father got me a kind of computer at home. So that was like the biggest spike in the curve, of my excitement. Because every time I'll go and I will wait, till the school is over, and right after I'm done with my food, I'll directly get in the computer. So that's how I was actually playing around in computer in the school days. And but 11, 12, I was having an idea of getting into Indian Air Force and all that. I filled up NDA form, submitted it. Did not appear for the exam later. But realizing that maybe computer is because I was pretty good with that. I was thinking, maybe I can take up computer science, and I should probably lead a career into that so that I will have enough time to do other things. Because computing will be like kind of a piece of cake for me, so that maybe like if others are spending out 8 to 10 hours, I can finish the things in, let's say, 3 to 4 hours. So I could spend the other 3 to 4 hours in the other stuff that I like. So that was a judgment I made there, and I picked up computer science as an elective in class 11 and 12. I did not pick up biology, which I still regret. I did not pick up biology because I didn't want to dissect a frog on the dissection table.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reason that okay, I will never do like that to a living being. So
that was my reason to not to take BPC.
Yeah. But it was a pretty interesting subject. I mean, though I didn't took the dissection classes, I did study bio a little bit later wise just to be familiar with the subject. So yeah, like 11, 12, I had a good time with computing, and after that, I decided to pursue a career in computer science only. So I pursued my Bachelor of Technology in computer science.
Okay.
So 4 years of BTech life, again, that was in a different place because up till class 10, I was in Big Boy, and class 11 and 12, I went to a place called Dibrugarh, which is about 80 kilometers from my hometown, and I was put in a hostel. And now from 80 kilometer to 2500 kilometer, I moved to Delhi for my engineering.
Okay.
So that was again a kind of, first of all, a culture shock because most of the time, my class up to class 10, 11, 12, I was Assamese medium guy. So I studied in my own mother language. I never had like a conversational English fluency or in terms of writing, speaking, or saying it. I mean, I could understand it if I read. So being into Delhi, it was like a big of a culture shock for me because the Delhi, life was totally different. Everybody were like, they were like so polished and so what do you call that? So standard. I mean, in terms of everything. I mean, I was just no one there. But yeah, like the friend circle that I got in the classroom during Delhi times also, they were pretty good, and they helped me quite being familiar with the environment around. And I think soon after that, I mean, I got used to my Hindi was also not good, very, very poor. I mean, I used to say, pani khana hai. It used to be like, pani should be, pani should be pina hai, right? So I used to say like pani khana and all that. So that was the horrible state of my Hindi that time. But yeah, I got good companies. I mean, they helped me.
But it's fantastic that it gave you opportunity to learn many more languages, right? And
well, yes, I mean Hindi. My Hindi level got definitely improved after moving to Delhi, and English got a huge turn in terms of speaking or writing or understanding. And then again, like we were bound to take a foreign language class. So from the first semester itself, I picked up French. So yeah, so like 3 languages at a time I was dealing with it. I mean,
so you still are able to fluently speak French?
Not quite really, but I can understand and I can read about it. Yeah. So maybe conversational in terms of speaking, I will probably rate it as 2 or 3 on 10.
Okay.
So, but I can understand it and I can read it.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes. And
so
yeah.
Before we go any further, this is a question that's popping in my world.
Mm-hmm.
When I was studying in my school, and there's a lot of I was very fascinated with rainfall. Rainfall that's happening, like Cherrapunji used to be called the place where there's a heavy rainfall, and I used to like dream about it a lot. Like, right. Oh wow, then children may not be going to school if it's heavy rain and all that. So how was life there? See, the reason I'm asking is right now there's a lot of rain. and floods happening in Assam. And my question is, how was life like as a child growing up? And did these natural, I wouldn't say catastrophes, but natural ways that are disrupting the regular way of life and what it's doing right now, do you think there can be any change, or does that blend into the kind of living that you're already used to?
I think more than a natural calamities or a catastrophe, I will also call it as a man-made disaster to an extent.
Okay.
Because look at the kind of exploitation that people are doing. I mean, like be it in my place or be it anywhere. I mean, because uh, the Assam that I used to go and visit, the landscape of it with full greenery or hills and rivers and all that. I felt somewhat to an extent that picture is little bit distorted right now because of the exploitation. Because just about 2 months back only there were an issue going on. Some government officials have given permit for open coal mining there.
Okay.
So that's within a rainforest. That too is a very interesting case. So if things like
Yeah.
this goes on, like that's like a different kind of destruction to the biodiversity around it, also to the nature.
Right.
So things like that are happening at minute scale, maybe in a very undistributed fashion. But
Hmm.
when time comes, nature gives you back, like they say, right? In a
Yeah.
very unified way. So probably this, I mean, the flood and all that we can see right now, it's totally a kind of, I will say, it has also its human influence into that. So again, coming back to your what you call fancying about rain,
As
definitely
a
we
child, I fancied it, but as I grew up, yeah, I love rain. But at the same time, how much uh, is it like if there's too much of a flood and people are rebuilding, right? I mean, I've seen whether it's Kerala or whether it is not. I see people rebuilding in the same spaces, knowing that there's going to be a flood next year.
No, that's absolutely not true, at least at this moment,
Okay.
because I've been to places, because I think last year only my maternal grandmother's side, uh, they were even at night the officials came and they were even asked to basically vacate the place. They were being shifted to some designated relief camp because
Okay.
there was kind of a dam or a band nearby, that basically prevents the river water to flow to the plain areas. So
Okay.
that was in a pretty alarming mark that night. So they were all in vacate and it was kind of an emergency. Now think about it, at night someone comes and tells you to vacate your home, just to carry the essentials and leave your all the cattle or
Yeah.
or the poultry or anything.
Yeah.
And you tend to think in terms of survival that time. And
Yeah.
and while we may have the luxury of sitting like this, you may be on the other side of the screen, I may be here. That is not the kind of luxury they have. All they want to have is to have a place where they can survive. So that is the difference. And then the other part being, there are there are many things. Basically, you have to see through it that there is a pre-flood stage, there is an in-flood stage, and there is a post-flood stage. So
Okay.
pre-flood stage is where the maximum of the work should be done by the authorities or the engineers or whosoever is the public work department be responsible to fix up those kind of things.
Hmm.
Be it you call it as a ban or a dam or a roads or anything, or maybe
Right.
you can equip them with some kind of awareness session. So those
Hmm.
kind of things need to do at the pre-conflict stage, I will say. When the
Right.
conflict is going on, that is where now everybody is getting awakened on the government side. The NGOs are coming up, or the other independent organizations are coming up to help out people. But is it really going to solve the problem is again a question, because it's not that it's happening today and tomorrow it's not going to be there. That has been
Yeah.
like a trend.
It's
It's
been
year
happening for
after
many years now.
year it is happening. It's repetitive, and that is the pattern basically we should look into to find out the real cause. What could be the
Right.
actual reason, and how could we basically find out what the solution that is not going to
Right.
create trouble every year. Then there comes the post uh, flood session. That is again kind of very worst, because once the flood has destroyed all your fertile ground, it has destroyed your poultries, your own animals, the cows, buffaloes, goats, whatever you call it, and the crops are gone. And after that time, people you'll see they will be suffering with a lot of cold, flu, and all these kind of diseases. A lot of screen diseases comes into picture. So it's kind of a big nightmare altogether when you look at it. So definitely we have to be prepared for this kind of thing. Awareness sessions should be created, of how not to ruin the nature. It may not give
Also,
the
a lot of energy goes into rebuilding the existence, right? Like, because it's a survival thing, and you're
yes.
you're
Yes.
continuously starting afresh.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, they do, but again, the government official paperwork, right? It takes time from table to table. Sometimes the government may issue like 1,000 crore fund, but how much of that 1,000 crore fund is reaching to the grassroots level at what time is the question there. Sometimes, because of these middlemen's, maybe out of that 1,000 crore, just about a penny or so is reaching them. So how is it going to basically solve the problem in the longer run like that, right? So we have to think about things that is going to give us a permanent solution. I mean, government always talks about the major river out there is the Brahmaputra River. I mean, during this season, basically,
The
uh,
estuary of Brahmaputra is something, yeah. I don't
yes,
want it to be just the reason I'm asking these questions is, in my world, I just don't want it to be like a geography lesson that we learned that, okay, this is how the life is, or, and in the future. It's like something that can be changed, something that can be taken action on, and is there something we can do? And if so, do you have any ideas? If not, can we come up with some ideas?
certainly, certainly. I think there should be like in the tech world we call it as hackathon. I would think of it like hackathon is a place that we do. It will be you were given a problem statement and you were given food, computer, internet, anything that you need, and you were put into a place for 2 days. And at the end of the 2 days, you have to basically come up with solutions.
Yeah,
So in that kind of when you organize this kind of event, the people from the research community, people from engineering community, people from arts, everybody comes together and collaborate to find unique solutions of a problem. I'm seeing it around being in the tech space. Basically, people are doing it in the fintech, people are doing it in the biotech, or maybe cryptocurrency and all that. And why not be on the natural disaster? Like, why can't we
correct.
organize similar initiative? That
Yeah,
has to be both kind of a public, private, as well as the government collaboration.
right.
So when we do, I mean, that's just one of the suggestion I'm just giving. And on top of that, there are experts already studying these kind of things. But by the time it is going to the approval committee where the actual action, will be taken care of, the timeline is very high. So how can we basically reduce the timeline by introducing more skilled human resource, if at all required? Or how can we, bring in more responsible people in the leadership position? Is going to play a very clear cut, distinction there. And on top of that, the students, I think in the colleges and the schools should be also, it should not be always the education about the environmental sciences should not be already limited to the books, just to go there, read, and to get some, maybe 80 out of 100 or 90 out of 100 marks. That should be more practical emphasis. Like, the work should be like, let's take for example some classes being assigned. Your job is to plant maybe 100 trees around your community, or your job is to maybe make sure that nobody is throwing their garbages in the drains. I mean, like one of the causes of this flood also, if you look at it, especially in the town or the city cases, is because of the mismanagement of the drainage system, because the drainage is blocked. So every time it rains, the artificial flood is created within that, right? So we have to make sure that our drains are not blocked. So how can we make sure the drains are not blocked? So we have to take an individual step at a home level, right, where we are not throwing our garbages in the in the drain, where it can cause a blockage. Instead of that, we will be properly segregating and we'll be properly throwing the garbages in the dustbins. So things like small things like that can probably, I think, if at all we do at a mass scale, can make a big difference. I could see a good potential there.
So you're coming to your engineering, BTech, and all that, and after that, what?
So BTech also
I
basically.
heard you were an entrepreneur, or you're changing the business or something like that
That's
also.
true. That's true.
So can we
Well,
have more?
yes, yes, yes. I think I'll come from where I left. Maybe 2012 was the year I passed out of, completed my engineering. But in between, I was not happy with the curriculum. So I wanted to drop off after class, after crossing like 2 years. But yeah, like by the influence of my good friends out there, they made me stick to it. Arey, 2 saal aur reh gaye, kar lo. So we'll have fun and all that. 2 more years. What is there, man? You can complete it. Even though I mean I was not a very academically brilliant guy even today, very poor grades. I think I failed in around 20 21 subjects during my engineering time, and yeah, like I was
My
clearing those.
personal interesting point of view is that grades don't decide how much knowledge you have.
Well, I don't know about that. That's presumption. That's but the grades were very poor, and our HOD during that time, even before, if he was an army guy, I used to hate him a lot. And whenever he come across you, even before he asks your name, he will ask your grade. What is your CGPA? Then he will ask your name. Then, if he finds the CGPA to be less satisfactory, he will ask your parents' number. So, so I have been through all those stages, and by that time, I was a big failure in terms of scoring good in academics, and I never used to attend my classes even regularly. But I could find solace in the library, and it was a different block altogether. I used to spend most of the time in the library to read whatever I could, that anything that interests me. At that time, I was apart from the computing world, I was interested in understanding the mind. So psychology and cognitive neuroscience, this kind of books I was picking up and trying to read. And basically, I wanted to develop intelligence in computing. So that time, artificial AI was in a very kind of nascent stage. It was just coming up and growing up, and that time. So I was like, maybe I need to be there to be part of this revolution. So I was trying to gather as much knowledge as possible on the AI, cognitive science stuff, and while my other classroom curriculum were totally different. So there, I could remember there were times when I had to basically once I secured some in one of the what do you call a test paper, I secured just 1 mark. The idea for that paper was whatever mark that you secure out of that, half of it will go towards your final score calculation. So I got one, so that means the half of it will be like 0.5. So the teacher was very disappointed, and she actually basically in a way threw me out of the class and said, if you later want to be in my class, you have to take a permission from the HOD explaining the reason why you got 0.5, and if he approves only, then I'm going to let you inside my class. So then again, I had to face my HOD, took his permission, he had a call to my parents, and I had my own share of rebuke from the HOD and the parents, and like that it was going on. But again, to say, not very kind of a classroom guy at that point of time, but I was mostly been seen around cafeterias or in the libraries or in some veranda, where I got a good internet connection to read things. So those things were, I was that kind of a guy. Exam, I never took it seriously. Probably that is the reason I achieved like 22 back papers, which I had to clear again. I appeared for first semester exam, third semester exam, and the fifth semester exam all together at a later stage. So it was like a hell. I mean, I was appearing for 3 semesters all together to clear out those papers. But yeah, the interest towards computing world and to understand the mind was very much there inside me. And right after I cleared my engineering, but I have to say this one particular line because I mentioned my HOD, which I told I didn't like him. But on the day of our graduation ceremony, I joined my college on 080808. That is 8th of August 2008, and my graduation was on 12/12/12. That is 12th of December 2012. It was again the date at that time predicted to be the end of the world, but that did not happen. We got our graduation certificate. On that day, on the stage, my respect for that man has drastically changed, and it went like 10 folded high. I still hold him in high regard now. why he was being so strict or so disciplined. Because one line that he said, see students, it is very easy to be on the top, but to remain there, it takes character. That is something you don't get easily. So think about building your character, because that is going to be with you in the long run. That is going to make sure you stay in the top. So that day, what he said, I mean, I could forget all of his 4 years of torture, and in that just one moment, and I could now think back and see, what he meant by that, and it really, echoes even today in my mind. That what he said was very true. That is something that you not easily get it. That you have to build up from ground zero. I mean, no matter how much good grades or be it a CEO or a vice president or a president position you are holding, but if that simple thing is missing, you are bound to fall down for sure.
Yeah.
So that was till class, till my graduation in 2012, and right, I had a campus selection back then. I was not interested in doing job, so again, I kind of took about a year of break to travel. I was interested in traveling, and even in college also. Uh, we'll have a lot of holidays like Dashera holidays, Diwali holidays, Holi holidays, and all that. That will be like for 3 to 4 days, like that. A short span of time. Considering the distance, I know if I have to go back to home, it will be like 36 hours one way on train, and again 36 hours other way back to home. So that's like your 3 or 4 days of holidays gone just in the train. So I didn't used to go to home during those festive holidays. So I will be roaming around new places. I wanted to see the world basically. So being in Delhi, the benefit was like you go towards any direction about 8 or 9 hours, you will be in a different state.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I had explored pretty much of the North India by that time, and after that, as I passed out, I felt like my reason was the one where I did not travel or did not interact much with my people. So right after graduation, I moved back to home, and I picked up a job. It is not actually a job, more of an internship with an NGO called Rashtriya Gramin Vikas Nidhi. So I think that was like my first formal job with a 6,000 rupees pay. An engineer with a very expensive degree and with the 6,000 rupees pay that time I joined. But what I liked about that particular job was it let me work in the field. So they were doing a kind of CSR project with a big organization that time. So my job was to survey around 41 villages, to go and interact with the people at the grassroots level, to understand their problem and to prioritize the top three problems, and what could be a solution out of it, and to interact with the communities there, with the village head, with the teachers, with the students, with the common people. So that 40-41 villages we have surveyed. I mean, I and a bunch of friends, and that got me really close to. I mean, I was getting pretty close to the machine that time during my college time, but that again brought me back close to the man side. So man and the machine, I call it as like a kind of good balance happened by that time, and but that was a short-term project. I mean, I got to travel, I got to interact people. That was the good side. I got to hear the stories, and but I realized that is not going to feed me enough in the longer run. So I definitely have to do something. And while I was traveling, I was also getting interested in photography, because with the camera, it helps you basically see from the other person's point of view.
Yes.
It puts you into different perspective. So I was interested in camera and photography. Thanks to my cousin sister. I mean, she is also one who, inspired me a lot, getting into photography. And then I realized, now I need to definitely have a good camera and good pair of lenses, and I need to have my own, earning to feed myself. So right, exactly after a year, I joined up a job. I mean, my campus placement was still on hold, but I finally decided to give it a shot. Okay, let's take it. So I joined a job in Mumbai. in a company called IGATE Global Solutions. So that when I joined the company, that company was in the process of merger with an Indian company called Patni Computers. It was one of the very famous and pioneering company in the computing world at that time. So IGATE and Patni Computers were getting merged, and I happened to be part of that at the same time. So we spent quite a good amount of time in Mumbai. Again, what do you call Assam, say Delhi, then Delhi to Mumbai. So it was kind of a good transition, I would say, because Mumbai, the cosmopolitan life was again different. You
Yes.
get to meet a different kind of people. I never been to a bar or had any kind of sophisticated drinks as such. So when you tend to meet your corporate friend circle, they will at times want to go out, hang around, in those places. So yeah, I mean, I had the luxury of being in those places as well in the weekends. Then we had different party. It's all together a different life, in contrast to the life I had in the sun. And back then in Mumbai, then we had after that the transfer order came, and I had to travel back to. I was transferred to Hyderabad. I didn't like Hyderabad, very frankly to say. It was the sixth preference. I wanted to go back to Bangalore or a Noida or a Delhi. Hyderabad was like the sixth preference, Chennai was the seventh preference. But I was given the sixth preference here as a transferring option. And after that, I was pretty frustrated here. I mean, after I moved here, and I didn't like it because Hyderabad life was again completely different in contrast to Mumbai or Delhi.
Very Nawabi, very like an easy go, lucky lifestyle.
Oh yes, 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 yes. And it was I find it decently slow here compared to Mumbai or a Delhi life, but better than Assam. and but I didn't like it, so I wanted to go back to Mumbai. So I was trying hard for a Mumbai transfer, but luckily in the same time I happened to meet my teacher here, Guru Nichal Yodha. I think he has been also into your. So when I'm really honored that I'm also sharing the same platform as he had been in. And I sort of met him, and then I decided, okay, I think I need to spend some time here.
He is definitely one good reason to anchor yourself in Hyderabad.
Oh yes, yes, definitely. That is being one. And around the same time, I happened to catch up with my few of my college friends there, and I was a kind of adventurous guy. And every weekend, you will not find me in my place. I usually leave. So every weekend, I'll be out of station exploring new places, some hills, rivers, or jungles. When I met this bunch of people here back from college days, I thought let's start cycling. So I got introduced to Hyderabad Cycling Club. So every weekend we'll do go like around 40, 50 kilometer ride and come back like that. So I mean that's how I was keeping myself occupied and busy in around Hyderabad. I picked up music as well. Uh, I started. I wanted to learn flute, but the teacher was not there at that time. He was on a break, so I started
Which
picking
one
up
did you want to learn?
flute.
Flute. Okay.
Yeah. So, but the teacher was not there around that time, so I picked up a piano, a Casio. What should I call it? I think Casio only.
A
Yes.
keyboard.
A keyboard, yes, yes, that's the more generic term, yes. So that was again a kind of huge change for me. I mean, I never did anything music, and I mean, all that is I was using a keyboard was a computer keyboard, and I could type blindly. But this was a different lesson altogether because even if I could see, I cannot type or make the sound properly come out. So it took me some time. I think I cleared the Trinity initial grade of music exam, and
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. Thanks to my teachers back in the music school, and they were also very encouraging. I also performed in two concerts here in Hyderabad. One is in Lamakan, and one is in Silparam. So two concerts I have been part of it to perform there. So that kind of boosted my confidence. But soon after I got introduced to my teacher, I was pretty much interested in learning something combat or fight or martial arts. So when I met Guru Nichal, my entire shift towards learning the art has totally been into that only. So I was trying to get as much as possible, out of the classes. So yeah, I mean, I contacted first. I picked up Tai Chi, which is a kind of uh, combat as well as a health art. So I mean, I only thing I regret probably by that time was I took little longer to join the classes. I wish I could have joined a little earlier. So I called up the Tai Chi Academy people, Shifu Josh Thomas and Sinu. They kind of connected me with Guru Nichal, and after that I came into Nichal's class, Nichal sir's class, and picked up Tai Chi. Then he introduced me to Indian martial art, Domi Samu, then other combat art like combatives. Yeah, I mean that was like an interesting, eye-opening perspective because
Yeah.
how we approach life in general and how we approach life from a survival mode is kind of contrasting to me, and I was not quite familiar because all the things that we see fancy or to be very smooth or very kind of beautiful may not be the truth underneath. So those were the new things again I got exposed in life, and I'm still trying to
You are
pick up.
exposing yourself not only to the skill and the wisdom and the knowledge of that whole art form can give you,
Yes, yes, yes.
and also be very congruent with life and the body
Exactly, exactly. I mean, I'm
that
doing
you
my
have,
bit.
and
Yes,
use it to the most effective way possible. I said, like when you're working with martial arts, and especially when you're working with Nishchal sir, it's like working, not only getting the wisdom,
sure.
knowledge, and the skill of it, you also are very congruent with your own life and with your own body. You can't separate yourself from you because
That's
you're
true.
using your
That's true.
body as a tool to do all that, right?
No, martial art was like an awakening call for me because
Yeah,
as a person, I was a kind of a sick person in a way. Like earlier
yeah.
I had the encounter of dengue, typhoid, and recently, I mean, just about 2 years back, I was diagnosed with TB. So then I realized, man, I mean, this city life, very irregular, healthy lifestyle is kind of ruining my health. So I definitely need to dedicate some time that's going to keep me fit, healthy, as well as something that I might need to use it at a time of emergency. So all this came as a combo package, when I happened to meet my Guruji there, and I'm trying to pick up as much as possible. And yeah, coming back again, I think I slightly digressed from your question. You were asking about the entrepreneurial journey, and I moved to Hyderabad. I continued the corporate job for nearly about 4 years. Then I realized I was not liking the corporate culture, and around the same time, my company people, they were arranging for my transfer in United States, but I was not. I mean, I could make money, but I was not very excited for that kind of transfer because again, I'll be away from my people, and probably if I go there, I mean, I will not do much of a impact activities there. It will only be helping someone out there, and probably at a personal level, I'll make some money. So I realized, that's not the kind of thing I want to do in the long run. I mean, I wanted to do something where I am in ownership or I'm in control, or that should have a positive impact maybe to the people and the environment. So around the same time, like I told you, I came across a bunch of people from my college days. They were also, in a way, want to explore something of the similar sort. So the connection happened, and I finally decided to leave my job. And an interesting part of it is when I was leaving my job, uh, the I mean the day of the farewell, basically everybody gets to speak their part. How I have been as a team player. The interesting part was, though my manager was not ready to leave me, probably I was kind of a key role there. And in his space, he said, "I think Hiren is going to get into a new venture. Probably sometime down the line, I would love to be part of it." So that was like kind of a good boost for me, because something of that coming from that stature of a person, it really gives you goosebumps. So with that hope only, I joined a bunch of friends, and we got into a venture that was to deal with the recycling and the waste management industry. I was looking after the technical side of it. My other friends, they were into finance, operation, and all that. But I was the only full-time member being part of the board of directors that time. So, on an official role, basically, though you were looking into the technical side of it, you tend to put in many hats or many shoes, whenever the time and situation demands it. So I was at times looking into operation, salary, or ground issues, again tax side and finance, again attending, board meetings and all that. So that gave me a kind of different kind of experience altogether, because when you be part of a company, it's more like you were assigned a set of tasks, and end of the day you are expected to do it, and by the end of the month you are given x amount of salary. So that's like a staple diet for you in terms of work and in terms of your earning and whatever you call it.
Yeah.
But here it was totally a different picture, because when you are leading a team, I mean that time we were a small team of around 20-25 people, full-time worker. And when you be in charge of that wagon, where you have to lead people, you have to think people first that time. So my luxury of withdrawing a salary on the day of 30th or 31st of every month was not there anymore. And what do you call that? You have to think if my employees or my staff gets the salary first, and you have to think about that, and then only after whatever remains, that is for you to take as a prasad. So we were not funded, and we were just a small bunch of people trying to pursue an idea that we thought could make a difference. Luckily, by the same time, we were selected. I think that was around 2017. We have a college here called Indian School of Business, a very reputed and renowned college in terms of doing the business research and all that. So they selected us as one of the top 10 startup in the social sector, emerging startup in the social sector. So we got selected part of their incubation program. They have a program called Jumpstart Social
Yeah.
Enterprise. So we were part of that program for about 9 months. So these 9 months of being part of that incubation exposed us to many industry leaders, because ISB has a very good network. All the Tatas, Birlas, Adanis. You just take a name of any person, any industrialist in the country. Uh, it is part of their committee. So basically, you are being exposed to a good bunch of people who are the leaders of their own field. So that has really helped us gaining an interaction, getting an interaction with them, gaining insights from them about how to do business with less failures, and then probably with less damage, and how to do it smartly. So that program really helped us. It has also took us to places, because you were limited with your funds, and they grant you some fund to basically travel around, stay in fancy places. For the entire 9 months, I was living in 5 stars, and they were giving us flight fares to go places, everything basically they were sponsoring us. And we were meeting quite an interesting bunch of people. I was in a room, where people owns city, and they owns private jets, and at times I were pitching it to the what do you call, the Microsoft leading vice president, who the person who was starting Microsoft in Hyderabad. Those were the kind of person actually we were pitching our ideas to, and just to check out, it has the potential or not, or if at all not there, what could we actually improve. So that really, it was like a short MBA in a period of 9 months, I would say, and more on the practical side. That really opened our perspective, and gave us a broadened view of how to do things. So I continued there for nearly about 2 years, and the kind of responsibilities I was holding on the technical side, it was also almost kind of finishing. I mean, then I realized my call and interest in the technical field was something different than what I was doing that time. Definitely, I mean, I could streamline it, but that will be like putting myself on a very stealth mode, because my interest towards doing something in the technical side was totally different than what I was doing that time. So then I made an exit out of the startup. I handed over my technical things to my next successor in the organization. I made an exit, and I took a kind of 3 months break again, went back to home. Not sure what I was supposed to do. Again, went back to Hyderabad, and then again I sort of started kind of doing independent consulting on the things that I like.
So
So
what do you do independent consulting about?
yeah, so mostly at presently I am taking care of the web and the mobile development. I basically help small organizations getting their web presence so that they can grow their user base. Or also I look into the experience side, the user experience side, like maybe at times what happens is we complicate things. What can be achieved in 2 or 3 steps, we are unnecessarily introducing maybe 6 or 7 steps. So I'm the kind of guy you need to call, you if you want to find out a similar thing, how can we make it more simple, or what could we do it better. That's on the one side of doing things. But at the same time, I'm parallelly pursuing what I told you before, that I was more interested in uh, on the intelligence of the mind and intelligence of the computer. So parallelly, I'm pursuing my own independent research on AI and machine learning. It is still, I'll call, at a very early stage. Let's see where it goes. Probably, I hope to make a difference there in some time down the line. But it is very early stage, when you are doing it at an individual level. Yes, Niveditha, are you there?
Yeah, I think I just got logged off.
No worries. I think we are connected again. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So that was the brief. I mean, I could tell from my career point of view, pursuing my interest, struggling to make my bread and butter, and at the same time managing to do many things. Basically, I have an interest in multitude of things. You call it painting. I mean, in fact, for painting, I took advice and suggestion and guidance from you many times. We have an opportunity to meet each other on a couple of occasions.
Yeah. I know
And
you came cycling to our place and had dinner, and we had a artist date.
yes. That was a good artistic evening. I still recall. You helped me start with the first, what do you call that? The night painting, palette night painting. I remember it. And you won't believe, actually, after that session, just because I got that boost, from that session with you, I started doing a couple of more paintings on my own. And then for my own disbelief, a few days, I mean, I started putting those pictures in Facebook. A friend of mine, I mean, I'll not call it as a friend, I mean, we just know each other, not that closely. She again sort of messaged me on Facebook. I mean, hey, I mean, I could see your art, it looks pretty interesting. Can you do a session? Can you teach us? So I was like, what? I mean, I am not a teacher. I mean, probably I can connect you to someone better than me who is a teacher, who can teach you and who can get you, start with very professionally in a systematic way. No, they were like, no, we don't want that. We just want kind of a hangout on maybe some weekend where a bunch of people will come and we'll come up with our own canvas and the painting, and we'll draw whatever you do. Whatever you do, we'll just try to follow that, and you just help us go there. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, probably that I can do. I think I discussed about it to you. Then you said, like, why not you take up? Then it happened on one Sunday. I think around 8, 9 people turned up. We went to meet in a cafe, and everybody got their own canvas and the colors. And the interesting part was none of them has ever painted. so so
Yeah.
it was like a hard target for me. Okay, how can I basically get them familiar with the canvas and with the colors? So yeah, but after about 1.5 hour of doing that color jamming, everybody were pretty happy with their pretty face, holding their paintings like that for a photo click. So that was quite satisfactory for me. I mean, what may be quite very small for you, maybe a big joy for the others. That is one thing I could realize
Yeah,
from.
see that's the interesting point, the artists or people think that you have to study something for a long time, you should have an expertise in something before you talk. I mean, these are all point of views. I think we shouldn't have so much significance around it.
Exactly.
If somebody is excited to create something, why not? I mean,
Why not? Right.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't have to be that it has to be for 1 hour or it has to be for a lifetime.
that's
Who
right.
knows
That's
what
right.
that can create for them, right?
But one thing I really like and appreciate about the session that we had in your home that day, uh, you made me familiar with the boundaries, but yet not to be bound by them. So that
Yeah,
was one thing I quite liked it out of the session. That I mean, probably you know your boundaries, probably you know how to do the things, how what to do, but let not that basically limit your creativity. I mean, there are many things basically you can do. I mean, I was thinking ki, maybe I should have a good brush of this number or that number to do things, but then you said, hey, I mean, we can do this with a credit card, or we can use the sponge, or we can use the tissue paper. Things like that, basically a different kind of medium to basically experiment with. So that was like,
yeah,
wow, that's something we should be always open to in general as well in life.
yeah. See, the tools don't make the carpenter. It's the carpenter who is fine with the tools.
That's true. That's true.
Like that, it's the artist and you're the source. If you forget that part,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know, it's.
That's
And
true.
I'm really glad you're exploring so much, and I'm really glad you went ahead and did that session with us.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes, yes. After that, also, I had one more session and with my Guruji's wife there. She was also interested to do some kind of thing. So we just met over a lunch sometime and he said, okay, you got a blank canvas, I got a blank canvas, let's do it, whatever we know. And it came out brilliant. It came out brilliant. And I'm liking it in the sense that, okay, I could be of some use to some people who are yet to start with painting. So that was kind of a good confidence boosting experience for me.
yeah, it's because you need to just start somewhere,
True. You need
and you
to
need
start
to feel
something.
that you achieved something
Exactly, exactly.
and a sense of accomplishment. That's what people are looking for.
A sense of accomplishment, satisfaction, and a good sleep by the end of the day.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
that's how you live life, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
See, when we are eating one particular meal, we
yes.
don't go ahead and plan the whole 1 year of meals, right? We
That,
just enjoy that meal and have a good time.
that's true.
I
That's
think
true.
we
So
forget that perspective in the whole living of life.
we often tend to forget. I will not deny it because many times I've been a victim of that. But as soon as I got back touching anything to do with art, be it I'm writing a poem or writing an
Yeah,
article or a painting or anything, or maybe I'm doing some handicraft work. It again brings you back on track and to make you contemplate. Okay, maybe I should give it a break or a pause of what I'm thinking about. Maybe it is not true, and you can offer a different perspective there at that situation. And again,
yeah.
come
And
up with
thank you for sharing your life because it's so beautiful. For me, it's just like a beautiful little picture. Like, okay, there's this child who's born and is growing, and in this environment, for me, it's like a visual.
true, true,
Every life that I interact with, every life that I get to know more is like, for me, is like a beautiful thing to know. Oh, wow, this life has been so eventful and beautiful, and how you make of it.
true, true, true. Everybody have an interesting story to tell. So
So, what
we,
next?
we just need to be open-minded and eager enough to listen to it, right?
Yeah,
I've
and
got many stories.
so what next,
You
Hiren?
tell me. I'm happy to speak about it. Yeah. Probably I can speak about the recent one of the event that I'm doing. Uh,
Okay.
like I said, I had a pretty good bunch of teachers. I was fortunate about to be in the classroom. Recently, what happened? We have a small community of about nearly 900 people. It's a Facebook community there from the school days. So recently, I thought, why not bring back our teachers in the similar format like we are doing right now. Why not bring them back and because many students are not having any clue where our teachers are, because many are retired, many are passed away, many moved into some other jobs. So I took an effort with a friend of mine, and I could just simply put a message, hey, we want to do something like that. We want to bring in our teachers as our celebrity, into our program. Would you be interested in coming and joining us for a live session? That small thing that I put out there, the response was very
Yeah.
overwhelming. And every Sunday we are trying to do it. So far we have covered three of the episodes, and interestingly, people are coming and watching it now. the teachers that we were not in touch with, because of that session, students are reaching out to them, ma'am, we didn't know you were alive, sir, we didn't know you were alive. It's so good to see you and hear your voice. And we are keeping it like a live session where people are coming, like multiple people can come and talk to them on the live. They were so happy. One of my friend, giving a similar session, she cried on the camera, I didn't even know you were there, and it's so good to see. And she was just recollecting her memory. So it brings out the emotions out of the people, and that's how the true story comes into pictures. So
Yeah.
I'm so happy doing that, and I'm so happy that people are coming together. That if at all, it's just about a will that we need to have, and things we can do miracle. I think out of it.
Yeah, we do look for connection, we look for connection with people, we look for connection with ourselves. There
Yes,
is a satisfaction and a desire to live fully.
yes,
So
yes, yes,
thank
yes.
you for sharing your life.
I hope what do you call it? It's worthy of listening, or probably if somebody was listening,
It's
can
so
take out
beautiful.
some. Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, I had a good childhood. What do you call? Thanks to my parents, thanks to the Almighty God, thanks to my teachers, to my beautiful sisters and my friend circle. I mean, I have had at the same time bitter experiences, but that doesn't make the conclusion of it, because we have to always look at the bright side of life and to be positive in moving forward. Many times you'll come across incidents, many times things happens, where you tend to basically get stuck up. That times your friends, your teachers, the books that you read comes and take you out of it, and then you get to experience a different phase of life altogether. So like that they call it, right, the metamorphosis, that
Yeah.
a butterfly, coming out of the cocoon. So uh, things are there. I mean, this is a tough time for many people during this pandemic time. Again, I mean, I would like to request also your viewers, whoever is watching this, that tough time never lasts, but tough people do. So
Yeah.
we have to be just positive about it and stay strong, stay tough.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nivedita. Yes.